How's everybody doing? Breakfast with Buck for the Christian on the go. We're back in the series, The Tangibles, things that Jesus or other members of the Bible, characters in the Bible actually touched things. I like it just because it gives us a sense that Jesus and God are physically real, and we need to know that in this world. So, interesting story in Matthew chapter 1, verse 18 through 22. This is essentially the Passion Week. Jesus already did the, Palm Sunday is what we call it. He went out to another town for a couple days to visit people, and on his way back, it starts off in verse 18, he was hungry. He's heading back to Jerusalem, and he was hungry. And he sees a fig tree by the road, but there was no fruit on it, except leaves. And he said to it, "May you never bear fruit again." And immediately the tree withered. I tell you what, I really feel bad for the fig tree in this story. I mean, it didn't do anything wrong. It was just hanging out. And I don't know why it captivated me so much this week to think about it. Maybe because there's always that sense of irony of like bad things happening to good people, or, that's what's going to happen in the Passion Week, and through the book of Acts. And so maybe I could relate to it a little bit because, it seems like trying hard to bear fruit and then all of a sudden it's just not happening. So this is going to be a two-parter. So the first part of this I want to acknowledge is, how is this relevant to the story Jesus is in at the moment? So in history, the fig tree represents the nation of Israel, the Jews. So if you look in the Old Testament, whenever someone's under the fig tree, if you recall that story, that was actually in the New Testament, but the fig tree is always representative of the nation of Israel. So in this story, I feel like Jesus is trying to say, I'm about to be crucified, I'm hungry. In other words, I really want something to be done properly and right, hungering and thirst for righteousness. He's looking for people like that. And the place he turns to, the fig tree or the nation of Israel, all it has is leaves. In other words, it's not bearing fruit. In fact, it's just in the way if you think about it. What good is it then? And I think that's what he's saying here to the people of Israel is, people need to turn to you in times of need, and yet there's nothing there for you to do for them. You're very self-serving. You're very self-righteous. There's a sense of almost like a connection with Rome, trying to play both sides of the fence of appeasing Caesar without really going against their Hebrew, I guess their laws, and their against going their raising, but they don't. They compromise everything coming up, and this is why Jesus withered the fig tree. He's saying it's useless anymore. It's kind of like losing its saltiness. The fig tree will never, ever again be able to bear fruit the way it used to. And I think that's what Jesus is saying about the nation of Israel, is because they denied him, and they're going to hang him on the cross and say that you're not the Messiah. They've lost their ability to provide what they used to provide to the world, which was a sign for God, or an ambassadorship for God, or a priestly attitude towards the world, where the world could see them as the mediator between them and God. So next video discussion episode, we're going to talk a little bit about what it means to me and you to be the fig tree. All right. Thanks for listening. Breakfast with Buck is now on a 24-hour hiatus.